Hello, I am Professor Eric Martin here at Lewis Clark State College. Welcome to History 101. Let me adjust this screen just a little bit here. Okay, yeah, welcome to the kitchen table, huh? Okay, so what I want to do with this short video is I just want to attempt to set up what we're doing for the coming week here. It's a lot like what's already written in the discussion board folder, but sometimes hearing it helps, and maybe there'll be a couple of additional things. A couple of things. We got two things going on this week. All right, and I get it. It's a little bit jam packed for 1 week. There's no more discussion folders like this, but we're going to deal with it this first week. Get us all in the mood. We're all fresh and ready to go, right? Okay, so here's the deal. The first thing we're doing is we are looking at a number of videos. That's the thing. It's just videos, right? In terms of taking up time. That's easy time. Looking at the Big Bang, I like to start at the very beginning. Looking at cosmic creation, looking at the evolution of life, looking at human evolution. And we're going to do this through Carl Sagan. There's two clips that I've got set up for Carl Sagan. One of them is on his cosmic calendar. Just look at that and think about it for a little bit. You know, why has he set it up like that? The other part is his clip on biological evolution. Conceptually, I think it's pretty interesting to kind of look at his points there. Also, for whatever reason, those clips come down from YouTube quite a bit. And almost as fast as they come down, somebody else puts them up. So if for some reason the links don't work for you, go to YouTube, Google, just keyword it, Carl Sagan evolution. Carl Sagan cosmic calendar. It'll come up. Okay. The other thing is I want y'all to look at that Becoming Human website. Just cruise through it. There is a fantastic video that gives you a breakdown on human evolution and goes into some more details. Go through some of the exercises. If you got kids, some of those are fun to do with your kids where you match the chromosomes and match the bones and things. But the main point that I want you to get out of this is just to get some sort of a sense of the evidence that the concept of the Big Bang is based on, that ideas about human evolution is based on. Okay, now these are just short videos. They're not going to present a comprehensive set of evidence to you. But if you've never been exposed to this stuff, and my experience is that most of you haven't, this will give you some idea on what these the stuff was based on. If you were in my face-to-face course, we'd spend just a little bit of time talking about how that in terms of evolution of species, there's not a scientist that disputes that. The current Pope of the Catholic Church accepts it. The previous Pope taught courses on human evolution. So when you talk about theories, right, of human evolution, the theory is not whether or not it happened. The theory is how it happened. That's where all the discussion is. The evidence is overwhelming for whether or not it happened. All right? The debates are on how it happened. And you guys can get into that a little bit. Anyway, most of y'all haven't been exposed to it, like I said, so I like to start off with this. The caves of La Salle, I don't know if I said that right, they're pretty cool. Check that out. It's a really cool project to be able to go in there with your mouse and look at these ancient caves, prehistoric caves, and get an idea of the kinds of things that might have been going on through prehistoric people's minds as they're putting up these images. What did they mean? It's neat stuff, I think. And then you got that video from Bridging World History on human migrations, looking at the migrations out of Africa, looking at the migrations into and across the Pacific, and then looking at also at the Bantu migrations. Again, paying attention for evidence. This is just people moving around, right? Okay, that's one part of what we're doing this week. The other part of what we're doing this week is based on the Bridging World History video Unit 4 on agriculture and urban civilization. So watch that video, get an idea of what are the big changes of the world that come along, right? As you get, surplus food or consistent food for the first time. When you start to get an urban population, and maybe not even urban by our standards, right? But a couple thousand people together, okay? And then the real discussion, I want you to focus from your book, Worlds of History, Chapter 1. Now, the thing that Kevin Riley presents to us in Worlds of History, Chapter 1 are a couple of things. Each chapter focuses on some historical concepts, some historical thinking skills. And these are important. These are the important skills that historians use. But in terms of being a generally educated person, these are important skills for you to have, to understand how to collect data, how to assess data, how to interpret data, and how to figure out what to do with data. We're just practicing with history, right? So the historical skills that Riley asks us to deal with this week is thinking about whether or not it is reasonable to consider stages of history, that this thing happened, and then this thing happened, and then this thing happened, right? So you can think about it, right? It's the Stone Age, and then it's the Bronze Age, and then it's, the next age. And what that means for the way we think about history, and then in what ways is it useful? And then the other end of it is what ways is it deceptive? Y'all think about that. This whole issue of periodization schemes. Periodization schemes, that's something that people like me cook up, right? It's not like, one day, everyone comes home to their house, right? It's like, hey, we're in the Bronze Age now. It's different than that, right? They're projected back on the past so that historians can convey the ideas differently. So pay attention to that stuff. Now, the question is a pretty interesting one that I think that we start off with, and that is this question about patriarchy. So the first thing you need to find out is, what is patriarchy? And then the question that Kevin Riley puts forth before us is, does patriarchy have a beginning? Or has it existed since the beginning of time? That is the question I want you to look for in each of those documents. You've got this source by Natalie Angier. What evidence does she present that helps you decide patriarchy always existed or had a starting point? This Paleolithic and Neolithic art, does that give you any clues? This ethnography piece by Marjorie Shostak, does anything in that ethnography give you clues to whether patriarchy had a beginning or whether patriarchy had existed since forever? The same thing with the Ehrenberg piece, same thing with the Clay, Paul, and Senecal piece, right? Some of the pieces may give you, well, it says this that seems to support the idea that patriarchy has existed since the beginning. But it also said this, which seems to support the idea that patriarchy had a definite point in time in which it began. And we'll start with that. This is a perfect time to start using your Traditions and Encounters textbooks. Look up patriarchy in the back of the book. Look up issues about prehistory and the very first urban societies, the agricultural revolution. What does that mean to talk about things as a revolution? We'll talk about this more next week. But anyway, that's how I want you to think about the discussions, and then I want y'all to go, into the discussion boards and start laying out the evidence. And keep in mind, for the more mercenary of you in the course, the mission is to cover the evidence in the Worlds of History book. And talking about that Bridging World History video, that's easy. You watch a video for 25 minutes, you give a summary of some of those things, okay, fine. But now let's get into the documents. Let's get into the real evidence in terms of our various discussions. So if you want to have good discussions, make sure they are based on that material in the Worlds of History reader. I reckon that's all I got to say for right now. If you have any questions about this course, do not think twice about dropping by my office during office hours. That is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:30 to 11:30. It is Wednesdays, 1:30 to 2:30, but I'm around a lot of other times. If my office is open, you're welcome to come in. Feel free to give me a call on the phone. Feel free to email me. We can talk through email, or we can set up an appointment. We can Google Hangout or Skype or something. Let's make sure that you get off to a good start in the course. So don't think twice about contacting me, and carry on and enjoy your historical studies.